Hey there, today I'm going to answer your question whether your Mitsubishi Mirage is broken or is it supposed to actually work like that. There's multiple things on this car that might seem broken to most, but actually it's just how the car is. One common thing people think is wrong with the car is the engine is not running right, because it is shaking while it runs at a stoplight, and it's shaking if you have the car in park and you're just looking at the engine. You'll see the engine is shaking all over the place, and you'll feel it shaking when you're not moving. That is completely normal. Your car is most likely not broken. That is how these engines are. They are 3 cylinders, meaning they are a bit off-center, so the car just vibrates as they run. Now, sometimes it could be a misfire, or you have bad engine mounts. If it was a misfire, you would have a check engine light for a misfire code. If you don't have a check engine light, it's most likely not a misfire. Another thing, your engine might be making a screaming noise when you drive down the road. The reason why is most likely your serpentine belt is not properly tightened. It doesn't automatically tighten itself. You need to loosen this bolt right here, turn this bolt to the right, and then tighten this bolt back up. That's all you have to do to tighten the serpentine belt. If you don't tighten it, it will start squealing after about 30,000 miles. Another thing is, if you have the air conditioner on, you might notice when you're accelerating, sometimes the car accelerates faster than other times. The reason why is the air conditioner actually uses a decent amount of power from the engine, and this is a lower power engine. So when you're accelerating, you might notice the car accelerates slower or bogs down a little bit when you're again accelerating, or you might notice if you're going up a hill with cruise control set, the RPM will bounce around. Sometimes it will be higher, sometimes it will be lower, just depending again if the air conditioner is turned on or not. And it's not just if the air conditioner is turned on. Let's say you have the car set to 75 degrees. It will not always have the air conditioner compressor on. It turns itself on and off to maintain 75 degrees. And even if you have it set to 61 degrees, it can still turn itself off for a short amount of time and then turn back on. Another thing, these cars rattle a lot. That is completely normal. Keep in mind, this is a Mitsubishi Mirage, the cheapest new car. It is not a Rolls Royce, it is not a Cadillac, it is not a Ford Maverick or something. No, it's a Mitsubishi Mirage. It has plastics in it that will rattle. This right here is the intake. This is known to rattle. I hooked it down with a zip tie just to help prevent rattling noises. But there's also other rattles you can get from the muffler hanger, plastics on the interior, catalytic converter shield that can also rattle, exhaust shields. Just things rattle. That doesn't mean it's broken. That's just how these are. Another common misconception is, my car is brand new, it has 5,000 miles on it, and the CVT is slipping and clunking and it feels broken. That actually isn't a defective CVT, that is how these CVTs are. If you're accelerating, you'll notice the RPM goes up, and then around 10 miles an hour, the RPM dips a little bit, and then it goes to around 30 miles an hour roughly, at that same RPM accelerating smoothly, and all of a sudden the car stops accelerating, the RPM does that for a moment, just a little blip up and down, and then the car keeps accelerating. The transmission actually has 2 gears in it, and it's just switching between the 2 gears. Although the RPM doesn't really change between the 2 gears, it actually does have 2 gears. First gear just helps for more torque at a lower speed. Second gear is more for higher speeds, and it tries to stay in second gear as much as possible. Another thing, if you are coming to a stoplight and you don't fully stop and then take off again, but you're very close to fully stopping and then you step on the gas, the car will make a slight clunk noise and it will just... Oh, I didn't mean that much. Sorry. You might notice a slight clunk noise and the car will just jerk. That is completely normal. Another thing, if you aren't familiar with CVTs, you might think the CVT is slipping or something, because the RPM stays almost exactly the same when you drive down the road. Or if you go full throttle, it will sit at like 6,000 RPM and stay there. That is completely normal with a continuously variable transmission / CVT. In an automatic, it will go and rev up, rev down, rev up, rev down, rev up, rev down as you drive down the road and accelerate and decelerate. That's normal for those, but for these, they try to keep the RPM in one spot. Another thing, you might notice the car is accelerating slowly. Why is it accelerating slowly? Is it broken? Again, no. It's a small engine. It's not as fast as your Tesla Model Plaid or something. In fact, this is the slowest new car. It's not going to win any drag race against any new car. It's not fast. That's not what it's intended to be. It's a Mirage, not a Tesla Plaid or a 12-cylinder Rolls Royce. Another thing, when you're driving down the road and you turn the steering wheel, let's say like that, the car will not self-center. The steering wheel will just stay approximately right where it is. that is how these cars are. Again, the steering wheels do not self-center, so if you're going down the highway and there's a turn, you can turn the car like that, and the car will just follow the turn. You could have your hands off the steering wheel. As long as the car steering wheel is turned in the specific amount needed for the turn, it will just follow the turn. No, it's not lane keep assist or anything. These steering wheels just don't self-center, and you get used to it after a while. And if you had the steering fully locked to the right, yes, the car will just go in circles if you don't even have your hands on the wheel. It will just lock itself full turn to the right or left. That is, again, completely normal. Oh, and one thing I didn't have on the list, but I'm just going to add right now on the spot is the car starting and stopping itself, or the car just randomly stalling. Depending on the country, that is normal. Some countries, these Mitsubishi Mirages must be equipped with a start-stop system, so as you drive down the road and then come to a stop, the engine will shut off. That is normal in some Mirages. None of them here in America have that feature, as far as I'm aware. Another thing is, these cars do not corner quite as well as other cars. For context, that pickup truck corners better than the Mirage. The Mirage can corner tighter, but when you're turning at higher speeds, the car feels like it's going to flip over. It will not flip over, it just has a humongous amount of body roll. It has a front sway bar, but not a rear sway bar. Is that a problem? No, this isn't a race car. It's just a thing. If the car feels like it's going to tip over and it's swaying a lot to the left or to the right when you're turning fast, that is completely normal with these cars. Also, if you have a backup camera and you're wondering why your backup camera isn't looking right, your lens, which is sticking out right here, might actually be dirty. Occasionally, just come over and clean it off like that, and it should clear up the camera's view quite a bit, if you've never done that. Also, I've heard several people say, my car doesn't stop normally. It doesn't brake like other cars I drove. It brakes softer. Well, that's true to a point. The car actually does stop softer than other cars. It doesn't brake quite as harshly with a small amount of brake input. For context, let's say a quarter brakes on a Ford Maverick, it might get something to slide around in the car, but a quarter brake on the Mitsubishi Mirage, it won't. The Mitsubishi Mirage has a more linear brake pedal than most cars, so 75% brakes is 75% brakes. 25% brakes is 25% brakes, rather than, let's say in the Maverick, 25% brake pedal input might be like 40% brakes, or something along that line. But if you want to double check that your brakes work, I recommend getting some speed up in a parking lot, or if nobody's behind you, and then slamming on the brakes as hard as you can, and see if the car stops normally. If the car's ABS turns on and sounds like the car's braking and quickly stops, that is how it's supposed to handle it. It's not going to stop like a race car, it's going to stop more like a large SUV. These cars don't stop as fast as other ones, but they still have good brakes. Also, I am not a certified mechanic, so if you are still not sure about your brakes, just take them in somewhere and get them looked at, alright? Or just anything on the car. If you aren't so positive that it's just how the car is and it's actually something broken, it doesn't hurt to go and get the car looked at, because it might still be something broken, but more than likely it's fine. Alright, I hope that video helped you. If you know any other Mitsubishi Mirage quirks that people think makes it broken, let me know. I might make a second part to this video in the future. Either way, thank you for watching, and have a great day.